These are tough times right now. So can you talk a little bit about sort of sailing in rough waters and the challenges that you're facing right now being a high-end place in this market?
The thing that when I reflect or I talk to people or people ask me that question, you really, when I started kind of talking and I've been asked to speak to certain classes, or I was telling Dave last time I spoke was in front of 400 neurologists at Harvard Medical School. I don't know why the hell they asked me to speak, but they did. I'm like, who the one who needs a neurologist? But so anyway, you talk about in this, what I do every day. I wake up every morning. I know there's going to be 20 problems. Don't know what they're going to be. But when you're in a business that needs to continue to grow, now arguably in the worst economic environment in our type of consumer confidence business, which was call it October 2008 all the way through to February 2009. You have a lending community that's non-existent. So even if you're running unbelievably well and you're performing, you have a maturity date, right? And in the world of the lending type of product, which the majority of it being, you guys probably heard the CMBS, where a bank gives you a loan and then they sell it to 500 different people and bondholders, and so there isn't somebody to talk to across the desk if you go to a bank. So you have maturities looming. You have operations that need you have thousands of employees and thousands of customers, and you got to continue in a lot of different locations. Then you have your ongoing operations. You have your lending spigot stop. I mean, not just slow down, stop. The other aspect of it is you have to grow your business. You have all these people sitting around, and the only reason the only way that you can afford to keep them is by doing more deals and getting fees to do them and doing So that kind of was on a 12-month hiatus hold. And then the other aspect of it is the problems that come up with just being in business, slip and falls, lawsuits, your employees. So it was 2009 was and in addition, going into 2009, we just opened a $200 million hotel in Beverly Hills. We opened 6 new concepts 18 months prior, and I'm 31 years old, 32 years old. So I hadn't gone through a cycle. Our family wasn't in real estate. I wasn't a true operator. I mean, I was well on my way. And your alignment of the people around you, most of the people work for you. So getting a real kind of understanding of really core business and operating was fundamentally fundamental. The disciplines that you learn, I think you see that in every industry. I mean, you see record profits happen. It's not because the top line's gone up. It's because the bottom line has shrunk, and people are cutting costs and so forth and so on, which ultimately now is getting a lot better. But it was petrifying going into that year. No matter how much money you have, or these assets need to function on their own. You can't keep funding them. And ultimately, what's going to happen when these maturities come up? Luckily, we only had 2 big maturities. One was our SLS Hotel Beverly Hills, which is a big part of our company. The other one was Vegas. In Vegas, we had no control because our partner, had 95% partner. And SLS, there was 9 banking groups, and nobody was speaking to anybody. The point is, we got through them. We got through them not the way I expected to get through them. And we got through them ultimately now with a lot more confidence now that I have moving forward into the next cycle, knowing how to deal with bankers. And our operations tightened. We put so many controls, discipline. And ultimately, as we are in the luxury sector, I still believe every sector you have to provide value, especially times like this. So in the case of Katsuya Hollywood, Katsuya Brentwood, Bazaar, the value proposition is you're going to go get a sushi roll at Nobu or Katana or Sushi Roku for 16, 17 bucks. So there's kind of a, we've done a full, kind of a menu survey, if you will. But ours is the intangible. Ours is the design. Ours is the service. Ours is the accountability. Ours is the quality of food. So we had a record year last year on the food and beverage. On the things that we had control over, we had a record year. Nightlife, was, obviously cyclical area. We have 7 nightclubs now. We have 3 that are reopening, 2 that are brand new going into this year. Our system. So we spent the last 24 months really fine-tuning our systems, where I think that's how we got through it. And we had January and February this year, we had our biggest months ever. Not just January months, we had our biggest months ever. February had our biggest month, the hotel. So, and at the same time, the last 6 months, we've turned the corner where now I'm in London, I'm in Chicago, I've been in New York, we're bidding on a lot of big assets. People are calling us constantly. There's a lot of money to be invested in the market. So it feels, it feels a lot good. It feels a lot better to be able to really get through that storm, not have the wind at your face have it kind of on your side at least or on your back, and have the confidence to come through that, pretty unscathed. It's not as scary as it was 18 months ago, but it was scary. Going into it, it was like it was the quiet before the storm, and we held tight. And we had some good lawyers and good advisors and luck.
Well,
a lot of vodka.